everybody. Happy Thursday. For those who don't know me, my name is Greg Morris, and I'm Senior Vice President of Administrative Operations here at NuPath. I have the benefit of typically being the guy behind the scenes, so I get to not have to sit in front of the camera, but I get the honor today of guest hosting today's Unity Forum. So welcome everybody. I can't believe that it's the last broadcast in the month of July. As we prepare to begin our reopening of our day programs next week on Monday, as you heard from Dan and Dan on Tuesday. There's definitely a lot of excitement, a lot of nerves, and it's something that we're obviously working hard and focusing on. You also saw the reopening video that James and Matt and Elder and Brian and Stephanie put together for both the 147 New Boston location and the Westford program. So I encourage you, if you didn't get a chance to watch that, to go to our website and check that out. I think it gives a lot of people a peace of mind in terms of what to expect when we begin to reopen. So like I said, last broadcast in July, and I heard someone say that this is simultaneously the longest year, and in other ways, the fastest moving year that they can remember, and I agree with that. Today's broadcast, depending upon how many people we have attending, we will actually surpass the 5,000 attendee mark for all the broadcasts we had since beginning in March. And today's Unity Forum, is something that we, as Dan mentioned on Tuesday, we're going to continue doing these broadcasts, these virtual town halls and Unity Forums in some way, shape, or form, even after the programs reopen. We're looking at something called NuPath Live that will change the way we actually connect with folks. So we're going to have more of a connection through different social media channels, and there will be some improvements that we have on understanding the audience and what's interesting to people, and how long they're staying on and watching. So it's something that we're going to continue to explore and move forward. But all that being said, let's get to our guests today. We have two exciting guests to speak to. And the first one, many people will be very familiar with, and that is Rosemarie Hubbard. I'm asking Rosemarie to join us here. Hello, Rosemarie. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing okay. Now, we just chatted a few minutes ago, getting ready for this, but you are actually off in Ipswich today, and I think that's Robert right next to you.
That is Robert, yes.
So I'm just going to take a minute here, as Dan does, to introduce you and just for people who aren't familiar with you, just share a little bit of information. You are, of course, mother to Robert, who attends our day programs. You have been on our board of directors since January of 2019. Your family is, you're just become such an integral part of NuPath in so many different ways. People that attend the walk are certainly going to be familiar with you, because you and your family, Robert, and you, and through your fundraising and your trivia nights, have raised over $42,000 since 2016. That is a lot of money, and we thank you very, very much for that. I'm going to actually bring up a slide here to show everybody. Your husband Bob is also very active. He attends a lot of the events, and Jacqueline, who she spoke at our 2000 17 annual celebration. And her and Robert were actually featured in one of our Unsheltered series videos called Twinning, which is very, very interesting. And I encourage people to check that out. So in addition, and I'm almost finished, I promise, but in addition to that, you are also a senior vice president at Cambridge Savings Bank, who has been a friend and supporter of NuPath since I've been here, bringing over $10,000 a year in sponsorship through Cambridge Savings Bank. And again, you're just such an amazing part. You and your family are just such an amazing part of NuPath. So we thank you and we welcome you for sharing your time here today. So
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
you're welcome.
My pleasure.
So as I mentioned, you're in Ipswich today. What are you doing down in Ipswich?
So this was supposed to be Robert's camp week. I would say 3 years ago. I never thought Robert would be able to go to camp, but we tried it 1 year, and he went for a week-long event and absolutely loved it. This year we had planned on having him go for 2 weeks, and with everything that's been going on, he has not been able to go. They canceled the camp down this year. So I thought, since I was scheduled to be on vacation this week and he was scheduled to be at camp, he and I would come up to my family cottage and spend the week and have a vacation. It's not Camp Allen. In Camp Allen, he's with all his friends, but it's me and him, and his sister just left this morning and his dad left last night, and we're doing things that he likes to do and enjoying the good weather as well. So.
And how's this been for Robert? I know it's been difficult for everybody, but how's he doing during this time?
Robert is hanging in there. I mean, he lost all of his Special Olympics. He was involved in every session. He was involved in a theater group that met once a week and performed in shows. All of that, has gone. We talk about the coronavirus. We ride by NuPath often because he does miss, coming there. And we just talk about it, and I think he understands a little bit about it. And we just are making the best of it. We're trying to do things that he likes when we can. Our schedules, of course, have changed. I work full time. I'm working in the office mostly, but I do work from home sometimes. And that's challenging, of course, because Robert is sometimes loud and trying to have, webinars or WebEx and meetings sometimes is challenging. So we've been, it's been challenging for sure. But we've been trying to keep him busy and just talking to him. The other thing that we started to do last year was Robert and I would go to the gym, and he'd, work out a little bit. So fortunately, we were able to get him a Peloton that took 8 weeks to get delivered. But we're starting a schedule and so that he can start riding with Peloton. So we've been making the best of it.
How does he like the Peloton? I know I probably about 5 or 6 friends who actually invested in a Peloton during this time, and they enjoy it, but it's a different experience, right? So
it's a cheaper Peloton. It's an Echelon. So I went with the half price model. He's not this great, stay in shape kind of guy, but he likes it. He's ridden it a couple of times. I have to really, we have to really work on him paying attention to the video and the instructor. But I think it's going to be good for him. I do. I think it's going to be good for him. So.
Well, I know this is a difficult time for everybody, but I do also want to say how sorry we are for the loss of your dad. I guess what was that, back in May now, or
So yeah, on May 10th he turned 84 years old, and on May 16th he was admitted to the hospital, COVID-19 positive, and never came back. He passed away on May 27th. And I think his passing has actually helped Robert a little bit understand how serious COVID-19 is,
Mm.
because we are able to, reflect back to my dad and how sick he was. Fortunately, we were able to spend that last birthday with him, and he was living life. So it's just all around. He was in a protected facility. We kept him there to keep him safe, and he ended up contracting the virus and wasn't able to fight it. So
Well,
it was very unfortunate.
I so sorry for you and your family. I'm sharing this slide only because, well, obviously, you know, to celebrate your dad, but Dan had shared this specific slide back right after he passed and did a much better tribute than I could ever dream of. But just I know Dan's brief time that he was able to interact with your dad because his mom was in the same facility as your dad. I know he said he just was the type of guy that would light up a room and kind of bring a smile to everyone. So again, our deepest condolences, and sorry for that. It must make this difficult, awful 2020 time just on another level. So but yet here you are sharing with us. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to share, NuPath, as I thank you for everything that you've presented here, but NuPath has also been very good to us as well. Robert came to NuPath. I was kicking and screaming, didn't think life was going to didn't know what life was going to be for Robert or for our family. And I will tell you that it has been an amazing journey, and he still will never forget NuPath. His room is filled with NuPath. We are going to buy a face mask, NuPath face mask. I'm just trying to figure out what size, because they don't usually come in sizes. But I'm truly thankful for everything that NuPath has done for us as well.
So how is the virtual programming going? I mean, I know you said that so how often are you going into the office?
So I go into the office 3 days a week and work remotely too. Well, I've been working on the boat remotely on my boat 2 days a week. So that's kind of interesting. But the virtual is a challenge for Robert. He's very, he does things at home that he won't do somewhere else. NuPath is, I'm either in the building or going to Home Depot. He's not. We tried a couple of virtual sessions and they were a little bit of a challenge for him. So I try to attend as many as I can and, give him the information that he needs. We're talking about him going back to work, and he needs to do, he has to complete, a session before he can do that, which I was hoping to do this week. So hopefully before tomorrow we'll get that under our belts. But so it's been quite a bit of a challenge, I will say, for Robert. Special Olympics is doing the same thing, and virtually he's not really engaged, so it's hard.
I know it's impossible for any of us to kind of really predict the future, certainly, but even look much further than what's right in front of us. And for us, it's a soft reopening next week. Do you have any thoughts or plans for you and your family as we move forward?
So we have been in communication with Amy, who's been super helpful with us, and she knows Robert like I know Robert. And for Robert, he wasn't really in the building a lot. He'd come in the morning, he'd get picked up, he'd go to work, he'd get dropped off, and he'd go. So I think for Robert, it's more thinking outside the box a little bit, and maybe not having him go back to the building, but maybe just going right into the office at Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a little bit of a challenge with him and with the changes, and it's going to take some time. But where he wasn't really in the building that much, I think it makes sense for him to maybe not make that transition just quite yet. And working that out with NuPath, and Amy has been, I think we're on the same page, so that's great.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I am going to let you go now. I don't have a smooth transition to let you up, other than to
No
say
worries.
thank you so much for everything you do, everything you've done. I've seen you a couple times virtually at board meetings and whatnot, but I know that we all miss you. We miss Robert. We miss Jacqueline. We miss Bob. So, hang in there. Again, thank you for everything. You all are just, we hold you so dear, such a dear place at NuPath. So again, thank you for taking part in today and for everything else.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you too. Take care. Be safe.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Well, that is Mike Rossetti. No introduction needed. He brought himself right up, and that is quite okay. Mike, how are you, sir?
I am well.
Great. I'm just going to take a moment as well just to introduce you to people who may not be familiar with you. So Mike is a VP at Stoneham Bank, also on our board of directors. Can you believe you've been on for over 5 years now?
It's unbelievable.
It really is. Yeah, you're also on our executive governance committee. You're vice chair, and you've been so active with NuPath. You're on our finance committee as well. You actually gave an incredible talk at our 2018 annual celebration. Anybody who attended that, I think, was quite moved by your speech that night. And again, you're so active. You've been in the Club 50 pretty much every year for the walk. You've raised over $10,000 since 2016. You already have $2,600 raised in 2020 when there isn't even really a walk yet. So, you're just, and anybody who comes to any of our events, whether it's annual celebrations or walk, you're just a smiling presence that's always there and always supportive. And we really appreciate you. Thank you for taking a little time today to participate in our Unity Forum.
Well, it's a pleasure being on here today for the Unity Forum. So, but no, go ahead, Greg.
I was going to say that anybody who was at that annual celebration back a couple of years ago knows that you spent a lot of time talking about kind of your journey, right? And what it was like. And I believe that at the time your daughter Michaela was entering the adult system, and you were kind of navigating the waters there. You also had your daughter Madison, who was just going. Well, she was at University of Colorado.
Yes.
Colorado Boulder, and you shared with us that experience, and I wonder if you can tell us how everybody's doing today.
Well, as far as this pandemic took us to all of us different places, I'm sure. So for myself, I had the choice of my daughter Michaela, who's in a group home up in Newberry, of bringing her back during this period of time, during the pandemic and stuff. But in order for me to navigate job and having her home, I didn't have the ability to do that. So it was 112 days from when I saw her to the next time I saw her, and it happened to be on our birthdays. We both share the same birthday on June 10th. So I guess it was a little bit of a celebration on that day that I finally got to see her in person. Of course, masked up, social distant, but So that was one journey or one path. And then my other daughter, who was away at college, classes went to virtual for her. She came back at spring break time in April for a quick visit, and then decided to head back to take her classes to maintain that, classroom presence, so to speak. And for her, it's a different experience for her too. So her sophomore year became more of a, taking online classes to that true college experience. So I think all us families have been impacted in some way, shape, or form. For the first time in my career, I've actually worked from home, which is a different adjustment. So you kind of got to key yourself up to each day to start your day in a different way. So I decided to take the proactive approach, getting up early, showering, working out, doing something physical and active just to get my body going and stuff, and then just face the day like we do and everything else, and trying to not put the news on too much and just to kind of focus on what's in front of you, and obviously thinking about the communication with your kids and family and stuff.
Well, that must have been, so it was 112 days, he said.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I
unimaginable.
started March and then literally June 10th. And my daughter Michaela, I think Rosemary said, is there's certain things that they do at home and certain things that they do when they're away from home. And my daughter Michaela does not enjoy FaceTime. So it was really difficult. FaceTime consisted of her saying, hello, and then time to go, goodbye. So trying to get more than 10 to 15 seconds out of her to see her. And I think when you have a daughter or a child on the spectrum that doesn't communicate very well but is verbal, you need to see them in person to really get to know, see how they're doing, so to speak. Is she been sleeping? Is she eating right? And so that face-to-face connection is really what I got it from. And so this FaceTime wasn't exactly the best forum to get a good understanding, but we developed a communication, at 7 o'clock at night. We got emails per, once or twice a week, text messages from our care providers and stuff just to see how she's doing. But to be honest with you, sad to say is that she's been adapted really well with the lack of transition.
Okay.
And so it's, my daughter did have trouble transitioning from, her day programs back home to her family on the weekends, or even for visits when my ex-wife and I would visit her, during times. She had that trouble of understanding what's going to happen next, so to speak. But her sleep has gotten better, with not a lot of transitions, but she has asked for, to come home to Woburn, to go to, her day program, to, see my girlfriend's house. And so it's been that, constant talking about it. But to be honest with you, she's actually done really well through this whole process with no real understanding of what's going on in the world and what a pandemic is or something, so I guess our kids in a little way that are on, the spectrum don't have those worries that we technically have, worrying about where they are, how they're doing. But obviously she's been impacted by all this too.
Well, but you mentioned it, turning off the news and not being kind of overwhelmed by that. I struggle with that myself. And even if there's not a specific awareness, I think, there's probably just a general awareness of something not being right in the world at the moment. You mentioned the visit after 112 days. So that was outside, I take it?
Yeah.
Or?
So literally we got to go up to her place in Newbury. My ex-wife and I brought up a cake, her favorite Santarpio's pizza on Route 1, just kind of went up there. But, it was nice. And she didn't quite, understand it. It was almost like she's like, okay, time to go. Like she thought she was coming with us. So that was a little bit difficult too, because she was trying to get in the car. But overall, it went as well as it could be expected. And then, since then, it's opened up that I actually had her back home for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Swim in the pool, see the house, see the dog, and just to have that, experience back again and stuff. So I think she understands. And now there's on her schedule is mom and dad on the weekends, or if I can pop up there during the week just to see her and stuff. So again, like we're all migrating towards these certain things that are opening up. And I know NuPath, we're doing the same right now with the soft opening. She hasn't had that happen with her day program yet, living on the North Shore and stuff. So
is there any talk of that or any plans or
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there's talks of it. Just to share, she's in a program in Bridgewell with everybody, similar to NuPath's. And there's talk yet, but I think their day program, it doesn't have a lot, as many people going out in the community as much. So they're impacted by, trying to keep the amount of people during the day in this thing. So I'm not sure if they're going to be doing a rotating schedule. They're just trying to see, I think like, NuPath probably evaluated what's the least amount of impact on the young adult in the, in the day program. Is it better to go a few days on, a few days off, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday? What do they accept as best as their routine and stuff? So I think they're weighing all those options right now, but to be honest with you, I mean, her group home has done a really good job of keeping her day busy. And, she's visual, so her schedule is up. If she doesn't like something on her schedule, she hides it. So, so it's kind of funny. They kind of like, where's the schedule? It happens to be behind the refrigerator because Michaela did not want to go for a walk today. So it is funny, but that is my child and how she adapts.
Wait, that sounds like my daughters too.
Well, I think she, there's a little typical in all the kids that are on the spectrum and stuff. So when she doesn't like something, you find it missing. So, but as well as much as I've been impacted as a father and stuff, and you just got to stay positive through all this. Keep yourself connected. I do have the pleasure of working with NuPath and staying connected that way from the financial side, and then on the attending many of the forums and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a different journey, I guess you want to say, this year.
Now how about Madison? Now after April, she went back to Colorado, and did she come back this way or?
Yes. So as soon as school ended, she had a job lined up out there that, because of COVID-19, it didn't come through and stuff like that. So, she ended up coming home this summer and pretty much just hung out. I mean, and trying to, my housing situation is a little bit different than my ex-wife's and stuff. And my mom lives in an in-law and she's 80 years old. So the impact of Madison coming back and forth, we made it a little more regimented, and, when she was in the home and trying to keep separate and stuff like this. But, knock on wood, we've done a great job of it and stuff. But yeah, she's actually going back August 5th. So just next week, to go back a couple of weeks early. University of Colorado has adopted, she has 2 classes in person for the first. They're trying it, 3 from virtual. And, as soon as something happens and there's any sort of cases, I think they're just going to pull back on all that. And then, I'll be paying for my daughter to sit in her apartment in Colorado and virtually taking classes for the low price of $60,000 per year. So, yeah, so no discounts. So
I guess take comfort in you're not alone, right? Yeah. A lot of
I know I'm not the only one out there that's probably sharing a little bit of this, but
it's you mentioned Michaela and doing well during this period with the lack of transitions and whatnot, and obviously a big component, as you mentioned, maybe Bridgewell not opening up yet, is the transportation piece too, right? So it's how is that going to work? And even looking at the school systems and whatnot, and that's the big element.
Yeah, you sit there and look at it. The benefit of, I know Michaela's situation is, at her home they actually utilize their own vans and stuff like that. So her core group would be on the bus to go to Bridgewell, or at least one other student or one other young adult would be with her. So she wouldn't be impacted. But I really think what they're looking at for their program is, what families need it more, meaning like if Michaela's in a group home, has 24/7 care, 365 days a year is available. I think they're literally looking at the people that have young adults living at home that are really impacted. And I think that's going to be more of their position on some of the calls that I've been on with them. And I fully understand that. And to be honest, I'm more of a supporter of that because I know what it would have been like if I did take my daughter home during this period of time. I would have had to take a leave of absence from work because she does require 24/7 care. And it's just me. So yeah, I would have had a little more gray hair, maybe a little less gray hair. And
I imagine it was very difficult kind of process to even go through to consider taking all the considerations of,
yeah,
do I leave her? Do I take her here? So I can imagine that was not the easiest,
yeah,
time for you to kind of figure that out.
yeah.
Before I let you go, though, I did want to, well, first of all, I did not mention your girlfriend, Trisha, right? That's her name, Trisha?
Yeah, she's over on the right side. Yeah.
So she's again, people that, see you at events often see Trisha at the events.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give credit to this next photo that's not here yet. Brett found this one. So back in the day, you used to be quite a hockey player, and Brett found this.
Oh. The worst part about that is I still play right now. It was impacted because of COVID-19. So I played back in the 90s and stuff like that. So I attended UNH on a full scholarship for hockey. I went locally to Matt Yon. I played at University of New Hampshire. And then from there, I went overseas to play a year. And then that's actually a picture of me. The Boston Bruins had the Maine Mariners back then, which is now the Providence Bruins. And then there was a team below that called the Johnstown Chiefs, where the original Johnstown Chiefs of the Charlestown Chiefs of the movie Slapshot actually took place. So yeah, look at you, you're all queued up, and I didn't even plan this.
Say that.
So guess what? I wasn't the Ned Braden because my buddy Johnny went to Princeton, and so did Ned Braden. So it was even funnier, but because we were the two sporty, young, fast hockey players playing, not the goons down in that league. But thank God I only had to play there a year, and I moved my way up to the Maine Mariners and stuff like that. So yeah, quite the funny. There's a guy on my team on Thursday night brought the card there to have me sign it, like as a joke, because when I was still playing, he was just born. So I'm playing with 20-year-old kids still. So it was pretty funny. So, and it looks like I have all my teeth and my nose wasn't broken in that picture. So.
Well, I as soon as Brett shared the photo with me, I thought, wow, that he reminds me not of the Hanson, and anybody who who is familiar with Slapshot probably knows the Hanson brothers, but I thought, wow, Mike is reminding me, wait a second, he's number 10, Ned Braden's.
That is absolutely, that was the funny part is because my buddy Johnny was number 11 and I was 10. He goes, I really should take the Braden shirt because he was from Princeton, and so is Ned Braden's character in the movie. So
I thought some folks might appreciate that in you as well.
That's pretty funny. You guys can dig up anything, can't you? Hey, Brett, I owe you.
Mike, it's been a pleasure as always to talk to you. So thank
Greg,
you.
it's always a pleasure helping out and working. And, every day I think I've told you guys, my biggest outlet is coming to any of the events, serving on the board, the finance committee, and the executive governance committee. That's truly my outlet. Thank you.
Thank you for everything. We'll see you. We'll see you next week.
That's right. I'll see you outside.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, that's it. We two guests today, and I will wrap us up early. Thank you everybody for attending. Again, this is my first attempt at trying to fill some big shoes, so hopefully I did okay. But it was tremendous to hear from Rosemary and Mike, and you know, we'll be back. Dan and probably Dan will be back next Tuesday at our town hall to maybe update a little bit about our reopening, which once again is on Monday, and we're all looking forward to that, and we're all feeling as prepared as possible for that day. Once again, I'm just going to repeat, if you have not checked out the reopening video, please go to our website and spend a few minutes doing that, and just getting familiar with kind of the process and the protocols that we have in place. Thank you again, and everyone, please have a great night, a great Friday tomorrow, and a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye.